Okay, so in this demo, we'll briefly go over how to use if statements to conditionally run different parts of your scripts depending on different conditions. Okay, so let's just start a little script here. So the idea behind if statements is sometimes you want your code to do different things depending on some condition. And so the way if statements work, it's sort of very simple. Just like the for block or for loops, we have an if keyword and then an end keyword. And similarly, we'll have some line of code on the if block. So let's just say x equals. I'm going to use the rand_i function here to just generate a random integer from 1 to 100, right? And what we're going to say is okay, so if x, we're just going to write something here to check if x is odd. But before we write it, let's just play around for a second. So x equals rand_i of 100, so that gives me a random integer. How do we check if x is even? Well, one way to do it is to divide x by 2 and then see if there's any remainder. And so you can do that in Matlab using this function called mod, which stands for modulus division. Modulus after division. So what mod is, so let's see, x is 82. So if I type mod of x and 2, it'll give me a 0 because when I divide x by 2, there's no remainder. If I do mod x and 40, it'll give me a 2 because 82 divided by 40 has a remainder of 2. If I do 81, right, it'll give me a 1, so on and so forth. Okay. So one way to check for an even number is just to take the mod of the number modulus 2, and you'll see that if it's 0, the number must be even, and if x was, let's say, 83, then the mod would have to be 1. Okay, so we can use this mod function to check if something is even or odd. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say mod x2, so that's going to divide x by 2 and see if there is a remainder, and I'm going to say if that's equal to 0. I'm going to sort of check if that's equal to 0. These parentheses on the outside are sort of optional. I like putting them there because it sort of makes it clear, sort of wraps the whole statement. But you can see here, this is sort of different from the for loop. In the for loop, we were sort of assigning variables to some array, but in this statement, we're just sort of checking for the equality of some sort of condition, right? So mod of x2 double equals 0 will return 0 or 1, depending on if that x is divisible by 2 or not. Okay, so then we can do things like say if mod x2 is equal to 0, we can say x is number, right? Let's see, if statement demo. Okay, so I'm just going to run this. Right, x is 13, it's not even. Here we go. X is 92, and it's saying x, in parentheses, I'm just printing the number, is an even number. So this line of code didn't get run this first time that I ran this function, right? So I ran it once here, if statement demo, and you can see it printed out x equals 13, but it didn't actually print out that this line here. On this time it ran the function, x, because it's choosing a new random value, x happened to be 92, and it's printing out that x is an even number because 92 is an even number. Let's say we wanted to print out if x was odd also, if x happened to be odd. So instead of having another if statement, you can actually use this trick, which is to use the else keyword. So this is all considered part of the same block. So there's if, else, and then end, right? So end ends this whole if block. But what the else command will do is it'll run this line of code in between if and else only if this is true. And otherwise, it'll run whatever code is between the else and end. And since numbers have to be even or odd, I can say the exact same line, but now I'll just say it's an odd number. Something like this. And so if I run it, now I don't need to print it out at the top because it'll say, so here we go. It was 64. I'm just going to run it again. 10, it was even. 28 even, lots of even numbers. There we go. 55 is odd, 96 even, 97 is odd, 16, and so on and so forth. So that's really the basics behind if-else statements.